Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of 5 Minute Gaming News, the show that may or may not be 5 minutes. Today in the news, I figured let's keep it light, let's keep it fun. So that's why I want to talk to you about the recent interview with the man who's probably murdered you more than most in games, Miyazaki, and his claims that the next From Software game is coming. Sooner than you think. A while back in a previous interview, like 2016, Miyazaki said that the company was working on 3.5 games, with the half game being the PSVR title Deracine, or Deracine for us Americans. And if you're curious, no, it's not a VR Soulsborne game, but more of a mystery. It's super interesting, and if you haven't checked it out, maybe give it a look when PSVR 2 comes out. Anyway, so they were working on 3 other games besides that. One, we learned, was Sekiro, and the other we now know was Elden Ring, and given at the time the news we have today makes sense. When asked if the third game was still on the way, he said, yes, it is. We are in the final stages of development. And again, this would be something that's been in development since 2016. And while we have no real definitive answers, there have been a lot of rumors. A lot of people are talking about how it may be Armored Core 6, which is, if you've never played an Armored Core game, it's like a 25-year-old franchise at this point. There are a lot of games to play, but that could be awesome. I don't know. I'm very curious what you think this next game could be. I'm fine if it's Armored Core. That'd be great. But I don't know. Is another Soulsborne? What do you think? Speaking of franchise games, Final Fantasy XVI is coming, and we are getting a lot of details. Over the last couple of days, we've gotten a lot of new information about Final Fantasy XVI, and my man Yoshi P has been out there talking about some of the things shown earlier this month in the trailer, but also deep diving into what we can expect overall. So far, we've learned that it's a globe-spanning adventure, and that the world's going to be huge, but it's not going to be open world. We learned it's going to have a darker, more mature style of storytelling, which is very obvious from the trailers. The fight mechanics are going to be slightly different, and the icon battles are going to be wild, both featuring the things that worked in the past and changes to them. Basically, it sounds like to me that the Final Fantasy XIV team is taking all the things that worked in that game and some of the things that worked in other games and putting them together to make this game. And honestly, totally here for it. It makes perfect sense. I trust them to get it done. Like a great example, going back to the icon fights, they want the summons to be important and fun and engaging and story changing. But more importantly, they don't want you to get bored of them. Yoshi P said, for example, maybe one icon versus icon battle. If you have icon A versus icon B, that battle will be reminiscent of a 3D shooter. Whereas another icon versus a different icon, it's more like a pro wrestling match. And then maybe even a third with one icon versus another icon will transform an entire area into a battlefield. And so we didn't reuse these systems, and each one of the icon versus icon battles is unique and will change with each battle. Because of that, and because the battles are so different in nature, the UI has to change for each battle. So you will see slight differences in the UI between those battles. However, we ended up having to cut a lot of that from the trailer because it ends up being story spoilers, and we didn't want to have that. Obviously, he's responding to a question about the UI elements shown in the trailer and what it all means and that kind of stuff, but he is also saying, look, we're going to try and spice this thing up. I give Yoshi P credit. If he says he's going to do it, you damn well know he's going to try and do it. If there is one thing I have learned from watching all of his interviews, the man loves games, especially Final Fantasy, as much as the rest of us, maybe even more. Plus, he's super honest about what he's trying to do. He said that Square Enix's user research shows that many younger players have never played a Final Fantasy title, and that one of their goals in designing Final Fantasy XVI is to excite and resonate not only with their core fans, but also with the new generation. And that is, in fact, a worthy goal, to bring in a new audience while also paying tribute to the 35 years of games before it. So, Jesse, why talk about all this now and not earlier in the month? Well, we have 2 new bits of information. One, looks like we're going to be getting a new, bigger, crazier trailer in the fall. And 2, falling in line with Yoshi P's desire to get more people to play the game, Final Fantasy XVI is looking to have a demo. That's right, the ever increasingly rare video game demo. I have to believe that they love their product so much, they're willing to let you have a little taste for free. Because honestly, demos can work against you sometimes. Based on the demo, a lot of people have negative opinions on games, and that's why a lot of companies don't risk it. Why waste your time making it if it can hurt you in the end? And so I have to believe that they're pushing for a demo to be released because they believe in the game. That's a good sign, right? I don't know, but what I do know is that it's time for your Cred Minute.
Hello everybody, how's it going? It's me, Crendor, and welcome back to the Cred Minute, my once-a-week segment where I get to talk about whatever I want for a minute. This week, I'm going to be talking about Warhammer 40,000 Darktide and games similar to it because obviously that's a game coming out. A lot of people are hyped about it. It's getting a lot of hype. It got me to thinking, when is there going to be a game like that, but for the, the weird factions, like the Skaven in Vermintide? I want to play as the Skaven. Right? I'm tired of playing as the Empire, as the Space Marines. I hate those. Like when I play Warhammer and I paint Warhammer, I literally play like Seraphon Lizardmen, Skaven, Orcs. I play all the wacky factions, right? Like, look, I'm painting up my Thanquol on Bone Ripper right now. You can kind of see him. There he is. I'm having fun. And all these games are just like, oh, even games outside of the Warhammer universe, like Orcs Must Die. Why do the Orcs have to die? Why can't I play as the Orcs? Why can't I play as the Orcs? How about the Orcs Must Kill? I want to play that game. So come on, somebody please make a game where I get to play as either the Orcs killing people or the Skaven or the Lizardmen or just something, man. Just something. That's my Cred Minute.
Thanks, Crendor. And thank you to everyone over at patreon.com/Jesse Cox, especially Navarian with 2 zeros, Stephen Robertson, and Lord Bagabutts. Anyway, that's it for the show. I will see you next week with another episode of 5 Minute Gaming News.